welcome to episode 46 of Two Dudes in a Movie. I am Luke Parrish.
I'm AJ Ferguson.
And I'm Paul Tabling.
All right, for this episode, we reviewed The Tourist, but before we get to that, let's talk about what we've been watching this week. AJ, you want to start us off?
Okay, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched a lot, so...
Oh, good.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Oh, okay, boy.
So Clone Wars, hot take right here. One of my favorite episodes of Clone Wars.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
what?
One of my favorite episodes of the whole show.
It was good. Ahsoka jumping from plane to plane was. I'm not going to get into much more than that, but Ahsoka jumping from plane to plane.
Real good. Awesome. That's all I'm saying, Paul. Real good. By far the best one of this season. By far the best one of this season. Top 10 episode of the show for the whole show. Parks and Rec on season 6.
Wow.
Flying through that, dude. Just friggin', that's such a good show. Like, I say this every week. Parks and Rec is so good.
Yes.
Okay, so, Paul, I'm interested to hear your thoughts because you're watching Parks and Rec too.
Yeah, I'm way behind, though. Behind you, anyway. I'm on, season 3 still.
No, don't worry. But for me, every time I watch the show, there's one character that I haven't really appreciated fully before. And that character in my mind gets better because I've watched it that time.
Okay.
For me, this go-round is Tom.
Oh, dude.
I've always thought Tom was funny. He's a good character.
Yeah.
But, this go-round, for whatever reason, dude, every joke, it just lands. And I'm in. He's so funny. I didn't like Tom the first time I watched it. I didn't really like Tom the second time either. But, dude, the last couple of times I've watched it, this is probably my 5th or 6th time through the show, maybe 7th or 8th. And he's good. He's funny. But for whatever reason, dude, this go-round, he is just every single joke.
Dude, he's my second favorite character.
Oh, dude, he's funny. Okay, so I told you guys about Confession Killer last time. Yes? No?
Yes, you did.
That's the one where the guy in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of murders. Okay, so I finished that. It is insane. If you want, a quick little 6-episode watch of true crime drama on Netflix, highly recommend it. It'll blow your mind. It is nuts. And it's one of those, real story things.
Yeah.
You're there's no way this actually happened. And it actually happened, in the 80s. So it's it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. It's insane. This dude is whack. Okay, so finish that show. I'm still watching my show on Quibi. What's it called? Most Dangerous Game.
Most Dangerous Game.
With Hemsworth and
Christoph
Waltz. Yep. And it is really good. It's really good.
Upon your recommendation, I downloaded the app and I've also been watching it.
The Most Dangerous Game?
Yep.
Dude, it is good.
It's good.
It's really good.
Daniel and I look forward to watching it every day.
People are always there's no way that's that good. I'm bro, I'm telling you, I like good stuff, and it's good. I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't tell you it wasn't good.
It is that good.
Did you watch today's episode?
I didn't watch today's, but
you're pretty much caught up?
Yeah.
Dude, it's good. It's almost done. I think this week might be the last week, which I'll be bummed when it ends, because it's actually based on a short story written in the 1920s. So
I've read the book,
story.
yeah.
I've read the book.
It's weird. Anyway, I watched Sebastian Maniscalco. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Watched 2 of his. So I watched the one where he wears the weird white shirt with the black center. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I watched
That's his most recent one.
That is?
Yeah.
And then I watched the one where he's wearing the blue leather jacket.
Yeah, that's the one right before. So yeah, you watched the most recent one, last one.
Okay. So I watched those 2. Like you said, very funny. It took me a little bit to get used to his kind of rhythm and his style. I was probably about 15 or 20 minutes in before I really laughed out loud.
Okay.
And once I got to that point, from the rest of that show, I was like, this guy, come on.
Yeah.
And then I immediately watched another one, right after that one.
Dude, that's awesome.
Another one. So he was really great. I really enjoyed him. He uses profanity, but not excessively. So he's not the kind of guy you're worried about it. But I'm telling you, if you're a younger listener out there, don't expect him to be G-rated. But he's not obscene or ridiculous or anything.
Yeah,
he's very funny. I loved the bit when he compares his wife's family with his dad, his family. It's really funny.
His Italian family to her Jewish family.
And then there's one more documentary series I'm watching right now. It's called The Greatest Events of World War II, and it's all in color.
Yes, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original series. It's 10 episodes long. It's the 10 biggest moments of World War II, and it's a documentary. It's kind of boring, but I like it because it's really interesting to me. But if you're not into that sort of thing, then don't watch it. But I like it. So yeah, dude, like literally Quibi, if you're into that sort of thing, go get yourself Quibi and at least watch The Most Dangerous Game. It's really, really good.
I recommend.
You watch the 50 Shades of Fright, Luke?
I haven't yet. I've kind of been.
I probably won't watch any more of those. I think they got a little too dark for me.
Okay.
The first one I was like, okay, I can get with it, and the second one I was like, nope, cross the line.
Michigan one.
I'm out.
I'm gonna let them build up a couple of 3-episode arcs or a couple states before I start watching.
I think there's three complete episodes, like 3-part episodes now. Like there's Michigan, Kansas, and Oregon, maybe.
Yeah.
But I've only watched the Michigan one. I watched the first one of the Kansas one, and I was like, nope, I'm out.
Is it just like creepy dark, or are they just really gory, or just?
It gets weird, and I'm like, I don't really want to keep watching this because I know where this is going, and I don't want to be a part of it. But I will for sure keep watching the Most Dangerous Game.
Don't want to be part of this 8 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what's crazy. It's like
terrified.
I think Quibi is a lot of people's dream. Just like 8 minutes, but they're all very high quality.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. Most Dangerous Game is good, or The Greatest Game, whatever it's called. Most Dangerous Game. Yeah. Is that all you've been watching?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I watched 3 movies. I'll get this one out of the way. I started Chuck back up just because I have time now to watch 40-episode shows now, or 40-minute episode shows.
Yeah.
It feels like 40 episodes, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
so, man, I cannot get into that show. That show kills me.
It's cheesy and the production quality is not high, but man, for some reason I'm attached to those characters. So I have like a 1 3/4 season left of that. And then I watched Honey Boy. Have you guys heard of Honey Boy?
Seen the trailers.
So that is a Shia LaBeouf movie. And
yeah.
That's where he plays his dad, and it's basically like a retelling of a part from his like childhood, like
because his dad was a jerk.
Yeah, his dad was a jerk. He was like a drug addict and like a drunk, like recovering drunk or whatever. And then it flashes back between like Shia going through his rehab, but it's not like his name in the movie is not like Shia LaBeouf or anything. They use different names and everything for it. But they flash back between him and rehab, trying to like reconcile and like get past him like hating his dad for him like causing his spiral in life, because that's what he thinks that like it stemmed from, and then like him as a kid like getting that abuse or dealing with those issues that he dealt with. And so it's a very interesting movie. It's very much like a passion project for him because it's about his life and everything, but it was well shot, it was well made. I don't think it's a movie for everybody because it's slow in parts. It's exactly kind of what it is. It's retelling of someone's like life in a way. But so I don't know if I'll recommend it, but it was a good movie. Next we watched Long Shot because I was trying to find a comedy movie that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Have either you guys seen Long Shot?
Seen the trailers.
Seen the trailers. Okay, so this is a Seth Rogen film with
can't do Seth Rogen, bro.
With
Charlize.
Yes, Theron. Yeah, she he plays a journalist, so it was good because in most movies he plays like an idiot.
Yeah.
But in this he's a smart goofball is what I'd say he is. He's not like your typical Seth Rogen. Like of course his character has a thing where he's a pothead in a way.
Well, of course.
But it's a romantic comedy, I'd say, and it's actually pretty decent. But it's still not like the comedy movies that I'm like in love with, like The Other Guys and Nacho Libre, kind of like the stupid humor.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm more in for. But this is, but it made me laugh a few times, so I'd say it's a decent movie.
Nice.
Probably the best.
You ever seen The Interview?
Yeah.
Paul, did you ever watch The Interview?
No way.
I actually was thinking about that movie this week.
Seth Rogen that's the only Seth Rogen movie I've ever watched that I thought was actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie's not that funny. It's just there's funny moments.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane. I felt like I was like losing part of my like soul when I watched
it. It was a big event too, because that's when we were like odds with like North Korea, and this movie came out, and it was like banned over there and all that.
Well, Netflix like picked it up.
Yeah, because I mean, did we even release it in the U.S. in theaters?
No, they weren't allowed to do it in the theater, so the Netflix just bought it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was nuts.
Crazy.
The
honeypot, bro. Honeypot.
Yeah.
Oh, you're honeypotting them. That's so funny. Anyway.
I watched one more movie. The best one I watched was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, yeah? Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers. And Tom Hanks does a great job. Like, there's parts, like, at first you're like, oh, it's Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. But then, he does so well at doing, copying Mr. Rogers. Like, his mannerisms, the way he talked, the way he, thought and everything. Like, it was, he engrosses you in the movie. It was so good. Because the movie's about a cynical reporter that's put on to Mr. Rogers to kind of get a little expose on it, because the newspaper or the magazine's doing an article on real life heroes, and Mr. Rogers is one of them. This guy's a cynical thing. He's he doesn't believe that Mr. Rogers is really this guy that we see on TV. And so the whole movie is kind of about how Mr. Rogers changes this guy's life just through kindness and all this other stuff. And it's based on a true story, which is really cool. So Mr. Rogers is obviously real, but this guy's, a real person, and, it's a real friendship that blossomed from this. But that was a very good movie, and the cinematic elements in that were pretty great. Because did you guys ever watch Mr. Rogers as a kid?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So the scenics they do, where it was the diorama kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's how every scenic in the movie is. Every time they change location or something, it's built like a diorama, like the show. And so that was super cool. But no, I recommend that movie. It was pretty great. I think I don't think Tom Hanks was nominated for an Oscar because last year was such a stacked
I think he was up for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I think he was.
Was he Best Supporting?
I think he was supporting. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, he 100% deserved it because he's great in that movie.
Well, I think
Brad Pitt.
I think Brad Pitt won.
Yeah, Brad Pitt won, but he's
But
very
he deserved to be
deserving of the
nominated.
nomination. Yeah.
Yeah, I got
I was
you.
about to be like, wow, Luke.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Luke just totally went, 180 on it.
No. There's 4 movies I've given 5 stars to, and that movie is one of them. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
nice.
But
the other 2 are Blade Runner.
One of them's Blade Runner, one's Dark Knight, and then one is
Chris Nolan. Come on, what up? Boy.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
I can't remember what the 4th one is, but
Back to the Future.
It's not Back to the Future. It's not Back to the Future. Hold on, let me look this up because now I'm curious. You guys, I think, will appreciate it. 2 seconds. Invincible? No, that would be my dad's favorite movie of all time.
Papali.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. It is Whiplash. I gave 5 stars.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You like that one a lot.
Yeah. But that's all I've been watching. Paul, what do you got?
So I watched a lot of TV this week, not a whole lot of movies. Did watch one other movie, but I will get to that in a second. Parks and Rec, yeah, same. I watched
season 3.
Yeah, I actually think I'm on season 4 now because it's where she's running for office.
Yep,
and I think the last one we watched was where, she does the first rally after her and Ben have come out as a couple. Yep. And it's in the ice skating rink, and Pistol Pete tries to dunk in the ice skating rink and all this stuff.
Get on your feet.
Yeah.
The same song over and over.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Oh my gosh. Every time I hear that song in real life, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take the song seriously.
Yeah. But then
have you got to the point where Burt Macklin does the FBI investigation of who pied Jerry in the face?
No, that hasn't happened yet.
That's one of my favorites. And he keeps smashing Jerry's face with pie in slow motion.
Let's go over this again.
Let's do it again from the top. Oh my gosh. And he uses permanent marker on the TV.
Yeah.
Circling the guy's face.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great show, dude.
It's a good
one.
God. We haven't watched
We should totally do a Parks and Rec bonus feature sometime.
Dude, we could. It would be 3 hours long.
Oh my gosh, and we talked for so long.
We haven't watched any more Community because we're trying to finish up Full House. We're in the last season of that, so probably be finishing that up pretty soon and diving full on into Community.
So that's a lot of sitcoms at once.
Yeah, exactly. I watched Chernobyl this week, which we did a bonus feature on, so be prepared for that. One of the best, we all kind of agreed it's in definitely our top 15 TV shows of all time. And then one that I finally gave in and watched, and my wife and I binged King. Was Tiger King. Dude, I kid you not. That is the craziest show I've ever watched in my life. And
it's insane.
Dude, I don't even really know how to explain it because it really is like every episode something even crazier happens that you're like, there's no way this junk is real.
Have you seen there's a meme one point he pulls up in his like weird convertible and there's like the skeleton next to him that he like drives around with? And he's like, the meme just says at this point in the show, him driving around with a skeleton in the passenger seat is not even considered weird anymore.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, oh my god.
Carol Baskin.
It's so crazy. And like, you just don't know what to do with the way he like, it just acts like, because the first couple episodes you kind of like are rooting for him, like, oh yeah, this Carol Baskin is crazy. And then you're like, oh wait, no, he's really crazy. Oh, this other dude is like, and at the conclusion, insane. You're just like, okay, every person he knows is just banana sandwich.
Yeah.
And then you're like, the most normal guy, it seems, is the guy who's Scarface is based after.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
we'll have to do a bonus feature for sure,
dude. And the crazy part is for all of you, which probably is not very many. If anybody that is listening to this is not in Oklahoma, not everybody in Oklahoma is like Joe Exotic.
Everyone is like
we
that.
We should totally do a bonus feature. Like, we're in Oklahoma City, chilling out, drinking our sweet tea.
Oh, man.
I have 3
watching Tiger King.
Yeah.
It's like an hour drive from here. All this junk's happening.
Everyone.
We literally elementary schools go there, like for elementary field.
Oh, not anymore.
Well, obviously not anymore, but they used to.
They used to.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we went there elementary school. Yeah,
dude,
I've been there.
But then the last thing I watched this week was very relevant. Was Patriots Day, because that happened last week. That was the 15th. And dude, that movie is, and it's not just because Boston is my city, but that movie is amazing. Mark Wahlberg, Pete Berg is the guy who directed it. So good. A great telling of that story, and a lot of it is extremely accurate. A lot of it is even shot in the same areas of Boston and Watertown and all that stuff. So I recommend that movie because, I mean, for those of you that don't know, it's about the the marathon bombing that was on April 15th of 2013. And it's just so crazy, and it's a good movie. I mean, even it's one of those movies that I like legit cry like at the end because it's so emotional because it's crazy. But yeah, that's the last thing I watched this week.
Real quick, Pirates of the Caribbean. What do y'all think? Good,
about
bad, overrated, underrated?
I like Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it loses its steam after the third one, but
agreed.
Yeah, but the first 3 are solid films.
My favorite one is the very first one.
Yeah, a lot of people's favorite one's the first one.
Well, he was up for Best Actor that year, right?
Yeah,
maybe
for best. Yeah, he was nominated for Best Lead.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
The third one's my favorite. I just watched that one. That one's so good. Well, that's when all the crossing and double crossing and triple crossing that happens.
Yeah.
And Calypso.
Oh yeah, Calypso stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
I can't decide if I want to watch the 4th and the 5th one now or not. Because part of me's like, yeah, let's watch it. It's Pirates. Who cares? It's not that good, but it's still Pirates.
Yeah.
Have you never seen him before?
I have no desire to watch the 4th one.
Say what?
Have you never seen him before?
No, I've seen them both before. I just
okay.
since I watched the other 3, I'm like, I'll watch the other. I'll watch 4 and 5. But part of me's like, I don't want to do that anymore because these 3 are by far the best.
I've seen 5, but I have no desire to watch 4.
Dude, I think 4 is better than 5.
I agree. Yeah,
I didn't like 5 that much. So
I mean,
5 is not great.
Neither one of them are that good, but they're both they're fun to watch because it's fun. I mean, it's Johnny Depp. It's like, come on,
it's Johnny Depp.
It's like watching Transformers. It's like you know what you're getting, but
Where's Shia LaBeouf?
it's Transformers.
Like, busy making Honey Boy, obviously.
It's like,
playing his dad.
What's another good example? Expendables. Like, come on, you know what you're getting. It's not, whatever.
It's old men shooting guns, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Come on. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the same thing over and over. Okay, so top fives. This week we struggled to come up with a relevant top five for this week, so we kind of went the unrelated route with what do we do? Bottom five?
Yeah, or worst movies of all time. Yeah,
in our opinion.
And,
in our
obviously
opinion,
these are movies that we've seen, so it's like this is limited to movies we've watched, and I don't ever intentionally watch bad movies. So this is kind of a tough list for me to make because this is movies that I have either chosen to watch or been recommended to watch.
We'll do it.
I looked up some lists on the internet, and I was like, I've never heard of any of these movies. So this is really not helpful at all. So I just did it like, hey, these are the worst movies I remember watching, and I remember like leaving the theater or remember turning off my TV like, this is horrible, I'm done with this or whatever.
Bunch of obscure movies.
Yeah, so I went with movies that I've watched relatively recently. But anyway, my honorable mentions for the bottom five movies, one of them is called Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal. Bro, it is horrible. Like, so bad. One of my friends, he's a coach at CHA. I work with him. I have no idea if he listens to the show or not. He'll probably be mad at me if he does, but he doesn't probably listen to the show. Anyway.
Being called out.
He recommended this movie to me, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. And then I told him it was the worst movie I've ever seen. Oh, man, it was so bad. I couldn't put it in the top five because it's like such an obscure movie.
Okay, for this one, let's give a bit more context for like people who haven't seen it. Like what it's a quick little 30-second elevator pitch.
So he is a loser, like just normal guy, and he watches TV one day and there's a movie on and he's in the movie, but it's not him. So it's like he has like a mystery or like a twin, right? Yeah. So he has to spend the whole rest of the movie like hunting down his twin, who has a totally different name and does not know he exists. And then it gets super trippy and weird, and they don't explain anything, and there's like all these like weird like symbolic stuff. You're not supposed to interpret it, and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm out. This is so dumb. So anyway, don't recommend that movie.
There you go. Elevator pitch.
Very artistic. But my other two are just dumb comedy movies that my wife loved when she was a kid, and I did not watch them when I was a kid. And so I wasn't like biased towards them.
Calling out the wife.
Watch them because she loved them as a kid. And I was like, hey, these are not good. One of them is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Whoa.
Have either of y'all seen that one?
I've seen it.
Whoa.
Okay, so I didn't watch that movie until I was like an adult for the first time. And I was like, this is literally so dumb. I couldn't get it. Like literally the only time I laughed once in the whole movie, which is more than I thought I would laugh. The other honorable mention is Master of Disguise. Have either of y'all seen that one?
Yes.
Long time ago in elementary school.
Bro, so bad. Okay, again, like I didn't watch that as a kid. I just watched it as an adult. So I was like, oh my gosh, why are we watching this movie?
That's where he's like the giant shirt thing, and he goes like, turtle.
Dude. Yeah, literally so dumb. Like I was so mad that we wasted it. Like we only watch so many movies in our lifetime, Like, come on, I'm wasting my movie watching time watching this garbage. What are we doing?
Wow.
I have a list this long of movies to watch, and we're watching like Master of Disguise. Come on.
Thanks, great.
So anyway, those are my three honorable mentions. Really bad movies. We don't talk about bad movies very often, but
this is our time to shine for bad movies.
All right, so for my honorable mentions, first one is Velvet Buzzsaw. That's a Netflix movie. It's supposed to be a horror movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Netflix original?
It's a Netflix original, yeah. Okay. Just don't watch it. Skip right over it.
Okay.
Next one is This Is the End. So with all like Seth Rogen and all the other like funny guys from Hollywood. Not a good movie. Bad visual effects, bad jokes, bad story, it's awful. I think I looked
the Backstreet Boys in it.
Yes, it has the Backstreet Boys, which is the only redeeming quality. But
there you go.
Not good.
So bad.
And then Green Lantern. So with Ryan Reynolds. this movie could have been so much better because Green Lantern's a cool character.
Very.
And Ryan Reynolds, I think, somewhat fits to play him. I think there's probably better options, but
yeah,
he works best as Deadpool, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, the CGI suit was god awful, and what they did with Sinestro was terrible.
Oh,
the CGI just as a whole was not good, and man, what a disappointing movie. Who would think that's okay? That's almost like Fantastic Four 2 is what I consider that.
I almost included that on my list somewhere.
Yeah, that's not good. And then my last one, and I'm sorry, AJ, is The Tourist.
Ouch. I knew one of you were going to do that. That's okay. I expected it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I honestly, I'm not. I mean, I'll defend The Tourist's honor later because that's what the whole show's about. But I understand why people don't like this movie. This is the one movie, not the one. There's several movies that I like that I totally understand why people don't like them.
Well, it's a guilty pleasure movie for you.
For sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's not like there's movies that I will argue to the death over.
Yeah.
This is not anywhere near one of them. Yeah. But I figured one of you two.
Hey, and I will admit, this was on my watch list. I just hadn't got to it. I was going to admit that. So it's not like this is a movie I was never going to watch.
Right.
But Paul, what do you got for your honorable mentions?
So I just have one honorable mention because I didn't remember some of those movies that you guys mentioned just now. Like, I could totally put Green Lantern on there, could totally put This Is the End, I could totally put Tourist on there, but I'm going to stick with what I actually had originally wrote down, is Jack and Jill.
Oof.
And this is the Adam Sandler movie where he plays himself and his twin sister.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, the funny part is, and I think that's the only reason I own it, it's the first movie my wife and I ever saw together in the theaters.
Oh, man. What a terrible movie decision.
Exactly.
First date, huh?
I don't think it was the first. It was like the second. But anyway.
First movie date.
Yeah, first movie date. And so I think the only part
milestone
I liked about it was, even though it was so poorly written for him, was Al Pacino's character. Was it, I love Al Pacino. He's one of my favorite actors, but I thought he had good some moments, but yeah, it was a terrible movie.
That was on a lot of the list when I was looking at the list, just curious what other people were saying were the worst movies, and that was on the list, every list.
Yeah,
dude, that guy has had so many misses
really terrible movies
in the last 10 years. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Yep. No doubt. Okay, my number 5 is a little movie that my friend Luke recommended. Called Annihilation.
Oh, really? Worst movie,
okay,
huh?
So this movie, I was 100% behind. I was in. I loved it the first hour, right?
Yeah.
And then it just goes downhill.
It does take a turn for the worse.
Fast.
It does take a turn for the worse.
It keeps going, and it keeps going. I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe there'll be a really cool moment at the end, and they'll tie it all together, and it'll make sense. It'll be awesome.
It doesn't make sense.
It does not do that.
There's no sense made.
Ever. Literally, it does the opposite. It's here's the one thing we're not going to tell you yet. Yeah. We're not going to wait. Hold on. We'll tell you at the end. I'm no, we're not going to tell you that. We're not going to tell you that. But we're also going to reveal 5 more things and not tell you those things either. It's
it wasn't great.
And then it ends. I literally, when a movie ended, I was like, that can't be it. It cannot be over.
It was so interesting for a good part of it, and 100%. Then it was just
and I was so disappointed because it had such a high ceiling.
Yeah,
but, dude, it just what a 180 in the middle.
Yep,
of the movie.
I'm sorry.
No, I did like it though. I was with you for a while.
Yep.
Rough.
My number is that was your 5.
Yeah.
My 5. Ooh, honorable mention. I didn't say Batman and Robin. Get that out of the way.
Ooh.
So my number 5 is A Star Is Born, the most recent one.
Nice.
And I hated that movie. I legit hated that movie. The first, it was predictable, and then the second half of the movie, it the pacing was good the first half, and the second half it's just here's this, here's that, here's this. All of a sudden, everybody's dead, and it's just like, what's going on? That movie was not good. Is the fourth or fifth remake of this story? So that automatically
something like that.
Yeah. And I'm like, why did this need to be remade so much time? And like all the I compare this to Avatar. Like it got so much praise, but I'm like, why?
Right.
It had one catchy song in it. But yeah, that's my number 5. Not good movie.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad. I did not watch that movie, but like I've seen so many bad movies before that I know from trailers if I'm gonna hate the movie, and I avoid them, and that was one of them for me. My number 5 is a movie called Movie 43. I don't know if anybody has even seen a trailer. I'm glad Luke knows what I'm talking about. It is a star-studded cast. I mean, it's got like Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Chris Pratt, Anna Faris, bunch of people. But it's like a 2-hour movie with like 7 or 8 completely different stories in it. And it's like a movie of all these like mini stories put together. And they all try to be somewhat funny. Like one's about a couple going on a first date and it's just horrible. One's like a couple that's like experimenting sexually and they like get really weird and strange. It's terrible. Avoid it at all costs. You really do not want to waste your time on it because I was drawn in by how good the cast looked. Don't get drawn in. Don't at all. Terrible.
Yep.
My number 4 is Thor: The Dark World.
Ooh,
bro, I almost had it number 1, but I didn't want to do that too.
Movie's not good.
But I almost so in parentheses I put the whole Thor franchise.
I was about to say, are you gonna have Ragnarok on there or Thor on there twice?
No, Ragnarok is better than Dark World for sure.
Oh,
Dark World is by far the bottom.
Okay, all right.
In my opinion, it is the bottom of the MCU.
Well, I just figured you were going to say it was all, you hated it that much.
Ragnarok is not as bad as I make it sound. I just don't understand, like, the really wide appeal of the movie. Like, everybody loved that movie.
Oh, yeah,
and I just, like, left the theater, and I was like, what? Okay, so, yeah, Thor: The Dark World is my number 4. And honestly, I thought about having a number 1. That movie sucks so much. But it was really funny in Endgame how they had like all the callbacks to that movie specifically, and they're like, "You guys are going to go back and watch this movie whether you like it or not." And I was
Guess what? It's relevant.
I was like,
exactly.
I'm not watching it again. Oh man, that's my number 4.
My number 4 is Baywatch.
Oh, with the Rock.
Not good. No,
it's
I
not.
never saw it.
This was one where it's like the jokes weren't funny. The plot was extremely predictable. It was just a bunch of good-looking people in one like area
on the beach.
Yeah, it was a waste of time.
They hop on a jet ski at some point.
Yes, they're on jet skis. Yeah. It's absurd. I get it's supposed to be like absurd, but man, this movie did not need to be made.
Nah.
Hey, The Rock, man, they just keep making bad movies, and every once in a while you hit a good one.
Yeah.
This was definitely his worst one. All right, my number 4 is a movie, and he actually could have had a couple of them. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Bruce Campbell. He's a very famous B-list actor.
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Ash versus, oh my gosh, Evil Dead movies. But it's a movie called Bubba Hotep. And
I haven't seen this one.
It's rough. The premise is that Elvis did not die, and he's now gotten old and is in a retirement home, and he's played by Bruce Campbell, and like all this other crazy random stuff happens. Like he starts getting attacked by giant cockroaches. And like it gets weird. It's almost like they try to do a new horror movie kind of thing.
I'm out.
It's just a bad. Oh yeah, no, don't recommend it at all.
I'm so out.
I said, I've seen a lot of bad movies, and most of the ones I have on my list, I recommend you never watch.
Hey, he's great in Burn Notice, though.
Bruce Campbell is a good actor.
Yeah.
He's in Burn Notice. He's good.
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, like Army of Darkness, is a really good movie. Even though it's super cheesy, super like, what are those movies called that are like A movies and then like B list movies? Like they're like the D League of movies. Some of that's where most of his movies are. Army of Darkness is good. This one is horrible. Don't watch it.
My number 3 is the Justice League.
Oh, really?
Dude,
you could have done an all superhero list.
Oh, dude, I thought about it. My original list was like Justice League, Thor, Green Lantern, Fantastic Four. Like I had,
There's too many bad movies.
Some of the old Spider-Man movies.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Justice League was a train wreck.
Yes.
Like, did y'all watch that one?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like literally,
release the Snyder Cut.
Like
exactly.
Batman versus Superman was bad, but it was significantly better than this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of sad. I really don't have anything else to say about this movie other than I hated it, and I was really mad that I watched it. And I was really mad that it was like a Batman movie and, like a superhero movie because it was horrific. And it was like modern. Like they had all this cool technology, could have done all this really cool stuff, and it still sucked.
They had most of the right fits for the characters.
Yep.
Flash,
Ezra Miller is iffy.
Yeah. I think Aquaman is
perfect casting.
I just can't get behind Aquaman.
A lot of people
as a character or as like a superhero. Just no, I'm out.
Fishman, come on.
He's like the Thor of the DC.
Hey, just because they have long hair.
And take their shirt off a lot.
He's just like Thor. I mean, he's from another like dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
He has like weird powers that nobody else has.
Yeah.
He's like really, buff and takes his shirt off 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. So my number 3 is a franchise as a whole.
Ooh.
Get ready. Twilight.
Rip.
Yeah, man.
I've never seen these movies before, so.
Yeah, those are the ones I knew I would hate, so I didn't watch them.
I've sadly seen them all.
I did. Yep. You watched them all?
I didn't
you gotta turn it off.
I didn't willingly watch them.
Yeah.
It was not willingly.
Figures.
But man, that was like one of those like things where the book shouldn't be made into a movie. Like the craze and when in middle school, when those books came out, like that was a huge thing, and the acting's terrible. Like that's like a permanent stain on a lot of those actors' like careers. Like
Robert Pattinson's like trying to do like serious movies, and you're like, bro.
Robert Pattinson's a great actor, but every time like I bring him up about playing Batman, everyone's like Twilight. I'm like, come on, let's move past that.
Tenet, come on, he's gonna be in Tenet.
Yeah, he's gonna be the new Batman. Like, geez,
barf. What a terrible decision.
I will not move on.
It's cringy, and literally the plot of like the last movie is like they have this giant epic battle scene, and then it's like he wakes up and it was all a dream. It's one of those. It was awful.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I about punched myself in the face after that happened.
Punched yourself. Wow.
Yes, just like that I continued to watch the movie, but nope. Yep, Twilight number 3.
Dude. Okay, my number 3 is a movie called Bat Thumb.
Oh, yes.
I've seen
the Thumb movies are horrible, dude.
They did like a whole series. I think there was like a
Thumb Wars.
Yeah, Thumb Wars. There was like a Godfather one.
Yeah.
And it literally, for those of you who have probably luckily never seen any of this junk,
horrible.
It's the actors are people's thumbs and they superimpose like faces on them. And it is fully dumb. Don't do it. And it's a story. Good. You get it from the title. It's a story of Batman, but he's a thumb.
Bro, so literally that's another one of the things that Callie watched when she was a kid. She made me watch them.
Oh.
so
I'm
bad.
sorry. Okay, I can get behind Master of Disguise, but Bat Thumb, no way.
Dude, Thumbtanic was so dumb. And then Thumb
Thumbtanic.
Wars was even worse.
Oh,
Like Spaceballs is bad, but like Thumb Wars bruh.
Yeah, that was someone's passion project that probably shouldn't have been left in their mind.
Hey, they were actually like relatively popular though. Like they
were.
There's like a cult following. For
Yeah.
those movies.
Yeah, it's like the annoying orange on YouTube.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
same principle, yeah.
Number 2 for me is a little movie called Boondock Saints.
Hey, dude, that's fine.
It just like, and again, it was another thing similar to Annihilation, where it was like, okay, I could get with this, and then it just kept getting weirder. When Willem Dafoe goes into the house, like dressed as the lady,
Yeah.
dude, from that point on, I was like, I'm out.
Okay.
But anyway,
I figured one of you was, and I figured it probably was going to be AJ was going to have it on there. Dude, that's fine. Wait till we get into the tourist.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just wait, AJ.
I know. I know. But anyway, yeah, I didn't like it.
Hey, that's fine. I mean, my scores weren't that great either. But
I think we were all.
It's one of those guilty pleasure movies, AJ. It's same thing.
No,
everyone's got one
for sure.
Just like mine's Blade Runner 2049. I mean, it's not my fault the greatest movie of all time was my.
Okay.
It's good. It's not that good.
Okay.
My number 2, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This is another franchise.
Fantastic Four.
Nope. Divergent.
Rip.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
movies are bad. So
dude, you and the YA novels just going hard right now.
I was about to say this was like during the craze of young adult. Like Hunger Games came out, Maze Runner came out. Maze Runner was actually good though.
The Maze Runner
didn't
movies,
see
the
those.
books.
The movies, I like the movies. But this encompasses the entire series, and man, this is the worst. Like Hunger Games is better than this. Maze Runner is better than this. Divergent's the worst. Well, Twilight's the worst, I think. I don't know. Hold on. Twilight and all these didn't come out at the same time, so I'm not putting it in the same boat. These all felt like they came out within the same like couple of years. But Divergent, man, is that movie. So it's predictable. It's weird. It's like it's one of the things like in Hunger Games where they classify everybody, like everyone's in a certain class and they're fighting to get like out of the class. It's just like the romance in that movie is cringy. The main actress is cringy. Shailene Woodley. That was I didn't like that. Nope. So yeah, number 2.
Fun. All right, my number 2 is a movie called Ninja Assassin. And
sounds terrible.
It was pretty rough. I don't really remember much of it other than it was just supposed to be a big, like, action-y, I'm a ninja and I'm an assassin type thing. It was very predictable, very, and like, you know, they try to make it with like a twist at the end because he like falls in love with this girl, doesn't want to be an assassin anymore kind of thing.
But he'll be a ninja though, right?
But you're right. But of course,
always a ninja.
Yeah, of course, the like cult he's with is not going to let him leave, and
oh no,
but like the very predictable thing that me and my friends always made fun of was the girl he loves has like a condition, like a heart condition, that her heart is literally in the like you know how your heart's kind of in the center of your chest. Hers is like off to the side, like a ways apparently, which was weird. And when like she's explaining it, I was like, this is really weird. But then it clicked. I was like, oh, this is going to be a callback. And he like gets stabbed, or she gets like stabbed right in the chest or something or other. And of course you're like, oh, she's not going to die because she's got the special heart. It was so stupid.
I hate this movie.
It was really, really stupid.
Oh man. Okay, number one. Any guesses, anybody?
I'm surprised Boondock Saints wasn't your number 1, AJ.
Yeah, there's one movie that I did not like more than this one.
Is it one we reviewed?
No, it's not.
I was about to say Blade Runner.
It's been mentioned already, though.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Green Lantern.
It is Batman and Robin. Oh my gosh, bro. Like literally, I went back and watched all the old Batman movies for, I don't know why, but for one reason. and a couple of them are whatever. They're fine. They're not great. I know Luke really, really, really likes one of them. I can't remember which one.
I like the Tim Burton ones.
Yeah, the Tim Burton ones are good, man.
Anyway, I didn't really like any of the old ones that much, but this one was horrible, dude.
Good old bat nipples.
Oh my gosh. Like, what a terrible movie. I can't emphasize enough how bad this movie is. Like, Robin is terrible.
He's
Arnold
whiny.
Schwarzenegger is terrible. Batman is terrible. The Batmobile is terrible.
The whole all around.
Just so bad, dude. Like, I've never been more disappointed in a movie, like, in my entire life.
Is Batman your favorite superheroes too?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. And it's like, like The Dark Knight is so freaking good. Like, that whole trilogy is so good. And then I went back and I was like, okay, I'll watch, some of the like predecessors to the Batman. And I was like, this
movie is very 90s. It is extremely dated.
Okay, I'm gonna say Luke's number one is Star Wars Episode 8.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair guess.
Okay, I'll let you. Well, you're wrong.
Oof.
Oh, wow.
It's not even on your list.
So I considered it.
Ah, wow.
I looked at it. It's just a personal vendetta I have against that movie.
Wow.
I will not say that. It's not as bad as any of these movies.
I thought it was going to be on your list at least.
It's just a personal vendetta, but nope. Okay. It's Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live-action movie.
Yeah. That's
M. Night Shyamalan's call to like not fame. Like,
I'm surprised you didn't do After Earth either. That was the other one I thought you would have on there.
Man, I haven't seen After Earth for good reasons.
Oh man,
I think that was one of the first like trailers I've seen for a movie, and I was like, nope.
Dude, I was that way with Avatar, the Last Airbender. I was like, no,
because the show is so good. But man, that movie just like takes the justice of the show and just like squashes it into a ball and throws it into a burning trash can. It's just like the actors in the movie that they picked for this. Like, could you pick like any worse? And just like the way the story's told, like the oh my gosh, this movie is just frustrating to even think about. Like, who let him do this to this show? Who let M. Night Shyamalan into that room? Who did this? Like, oh my gosh, man! Like, jeez.
What?
Oh,
sorry, Luke. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was done. I said be better, and that was it.
Oh, Paul, is your movie number one the one that we've heard of before, or is it another one of your obscure?
I don't know. It's less obscure than some of the other ones, but my number one is a movie called Next, and it's got Nicolas Cage in it and Jessica Biel.
Of course.
And
combo. What a combo.
Nick Cage. I was trying to remember the plot of it, and so I actually had to look it up real quick. Is a Las Vegas magician who can see into the future and is pursued by FBI agents seeking to use his abilities to prevent a nuclear terrorist attack. But he can only see a certain amount of time. He can't like see a long ways. He can only see like maybe minutes. Yeah, nothing crazy. But he then so he's on the run from the FBI trying to not help the FBI solve a nuclear terrorist. You're like, what? No, just do it, man. Come on. And then
a bunch of the movies on the internet that I looked at that were like bottom 50 or whatever.
Yes.
Like a bunch of them were Nicolas Cage.
Well, this movie came out in 2007 during like all the National Treasure and all that. Like he was making, Did y'all
ever watch Left Behind with Nicolas Cage in it?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, dude. It's based on like the books, like the Left Behind series. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
So
man, okay, so I haven't even gotten to the dumbest part of this movie.
Oh, dang.
So
I thought you were done.
No.
I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
He like falls in love with Jessica Biel, who I don't remember what her character is, but like, they do like this whole like on the run, like falling in love thing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you just
come on.
And then the way they shot the movie is you don't really know when he sees into the future, because there's a moment like you see that's clear, like him standing in a phone booth, let's say, and then he like sees into the future and you watch it and then it like snaps back to him in the phone booth. Well, from about halfway on, from the half point to the end, at the very end of the movie, you like see him die, and then it flashes back to an hour earlier,
So
and
he
it was
sees his
all a
death.
vision, and the movie ended, and I was like, what?
That's some Twilight stuff, man.
I was like,
that's pathetic.
oh, and so he like now, knows how to prevent his death and everything like this, but you're just like, dude, I watched a 2-hour movie with no ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh god, I was so pissed that I watched the whole movie.
Dude, but it's artsy. Think about it.
It was not artsy at all.
See, there's a humongous line in between being like a minimalist, like artsy storyteller, and then like not telling a story whatsoever. And some people just cannot like walk that line, you know?
Ugh, terrible.
Yucky.
All right, so that was my worst movie I've ever seen.
It was an easy list.
It was funny. I think it was more funny than anything.
We haven't talked about bad movies before.
No. We've talked about most overrated movies. That's the closest thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even like those are like good-ish movies. They're just like blown out of proportion. Like how
Avatar is not good.
Yeah.
Had its good moments. I mean, come on. Had a good cast. I'll give it that. It had a good cast.
Okay.
Avatar?
In my opinion, had a good cast.
Oh, I like Avatar. I just think it's overrated. I mean,
oh yeah,
I don't hate it as much as Luke hates it.
Anyway, before we like completely dive into Avatar,
let's talk about the Tourist
sometime.
Let's
fun
talk
to do
about
Avatar. Give it some scores.
The Tourist. Oh gosh,
big fat like zeros for everything.
Oh my gosh, come on.
All right, so this week we are watching a movie called The Tourist. Again, if you haven't already
hated.
Do what?
Which my co-hosts hated, apparently.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, for those of you who haven't picked up on it, it was an AJ pick synopsis. Yeah. And this is, again, I pulled them from IMDb, so this is what IMDb says. Revolves around Frank, an American tourist visiting Italy to mend a broken heart. Elise is an extraordinary woman who deliberately crosses his path. That's legit all it said. I was like, that is the worst synopsis I've found on IMDb thus far.
Let's hear them scores.
Well, let me give some other information first. It came out in 2010. Director is, I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm going to go for it. Florian Hinkel von Dinnerschmark.
What an amazing name.
What an amazing name.
Sounds like a sausage I bought one.
Like a fake name you'd leave it like a...
Dude, yeah. It's like
something a credit card bill with.
Or when the substitute teacher comes to town and see more butts. See more butts here.
Yep, exactly.
I looked at some of the other movies he directed, and they all have very high scores, like Rotten Tomatoes wise and everything.
Really? Okay. This movie has Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie, Paul Bettany from the Avengers movies, and
Solo. Come on.
Good old Solo, yeah. And good old Timothy Dalton, who was one of the James Bond guys who played James Bond.
Yeah.
He was the boss, Paul Bettany's boss.
And Rufus Sewell.
From Man in the High Castle. Yep. Had a budget of $100 million.
Wow.
Probably to pay those actors.
Yeah, to pay Jolie and Depp.
Yeah. It earned worldwide $278 million. So
not terrible.
Made its money back. Domestically, it only made $67 million. So it was all overseas money that saved it.
China saved it.
Probably.
People will go see Johnny Depp.
True.
That's right.
IMDb rating of a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes of a 20%. And the audience score was a 43%. Whereas I'm going to defend my movie a little bit for a moment here. Boondock Saints was a 27, but the audience rating was a 91. So, okay, there we go. That was my little plug for AJ.
Boondock Saints also has like a cult following.
That's true. Metacritic was a...
I think I'm the only person I've ever talked to who actually enjoys this movie. Like,
oh no, my dad does too.
Oh, okay.
A Metacritic of 37.
Hey, that's higher than I thought it'd be.
It is a little higher than I thought it would be too. So, only award I think it won was like a Teen Choice Award for Angelina Jolie, which
she votes on those anyways.
Teens, come on.
Did you guys? So after I watched this movie, I tried to look up a bunch of videos on it, and I came across the opening monologues of the 2011 Golden Globes, where Ricky Gervais just rips on this movie.
No. I did not see this.
For like a minute straight, he just rips on it, and they like show Johnny Depp sitting in the audience, and he's like laughing too, and so at least they can laugh at themselves together.
Yeah, he's a good sport about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna try something a little new. I haven't actually written my scores for this movie yet. Because I didn't know what to score yet, because I like the movie, but it's obviously not great based on the IMDb scores and everything else. Yeah. But I was going to say what I thought about each section without actually scoring it, and then listen to y'all's scores and y'all's arguments, and then kind of score it based off of that afterward.
Well, would it be easier to do it that way, or do you want us to go first and you go last?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because, I mean, you normally go first with the scoring, but yeah, we could have Luke and then me and then you.
Do you want me to start?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah, this will be a good.
I gave the idea and premise, I gave this section a 3. Literally, my first note is, what the heck? Man, this movie just like, this movie is a remake, so I will say that. And the movie that this one's remaking, this is like the American remake of a foreign film, and the foreign film has like a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, like compared to this movie. So I was like very interested. I was like, apparently the original is very good. So it kind of makes me want to go watch the first one.
Yeah,
original. But I think this movie was just very, very cliche. Like it's almost like. So spoilers, like at the end, like with the ending and everything, it's like, oh my gosh, no way. It's extremely predictable. From about the point that Angelina Jolie gets on the train, you're like, that's Alexander Pierce.
Right.
Just because it makes sense storytelling wise. Like that's the only reason, like that's the only way it makes sense.
Right.
But no, it's very cliche. I feel like I'd seen a lot of this 100 times, but like done better. And honestly, I think my biggest thing, I think this movie had potential. I will say that. But I think what drug this movie down was there was an overall sense of laziness going on. And then I'll talk about that within each section. But to me, this movie felt extremely lazy. So I think that's kind of what dragged down my score. There was potential, but very lazy and cliche.
Yeah, I gotcha. And yeah, I'm gonna kind of agree with AJ that I really didn't know how to score this movie either. I'm not a fan of this movie, but I didn't feel like it was like. I feel like there's gonna be a Luke's low, I'm a middle, and AJ's gonna be on the other end, which is gonna be good. But I gave this section a 5. For a lot of the same reasons as Luke. It's it's familiar. It seems like, but I couldn't place it exactly. It seems like it's 4 or 5 different movies or movie types thrown together, and it's like, you're throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. Like it's the train thing is like a kind of like Murder on the Orient Express kind of feel, and then you've got this whole like romantic underlying story just of all the kind of bad, cheesy rom-com almost movies, things like that, with a little spy flair thrown on there.
Some James Bond type of vibes kind of thing.
Yeah, and this movie, it's like it was I didn't know it was a remake, and honestly, until Luke started mentioning it. But it makes sense, because it also makes sense that it was a foreign film, because this feels very much like a foreign film. And I feel like we are a little spoiled as Americans with big name actors, we thought it was going to be an American style movie, but this is a very foreign film style movie from the 50s.
Yeah.
And so it just seems like they didn't update it. So as far as the actual idea of the movie, it is a little interesting because it's like Luke said, there was potential, but it just didn't pan out the right way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and write down a 7. I wanted to go a little higher than that, and a little lower than that. Kind of went back and forth. For me, like I said, I think I have a hard time with this movie because I do like it, but it's also like it's not great. Like it's just kind of a fun movie. Most of the movies that I like, honestly, are very intellectual and very much a sit down, pay attention to this movie, watch every single frame to catch it and to understand it. And most movies I like are like that. And this movie's just not really like that. It's very much a turn it on, kind of pop some popcorn, walk around, do whatever. Like you can just have it on and it's just kind of there. It's not like a very consuming movie.
Well, and Venice is a very fun setting. So
yeah, and it's just beautiful. Like the setting, like Luke mentioned, I mean, in Venice is just beautiful, and it's just kind of a light-hearted, easy to watch movie. But the actual idea and the premise for me is interesting. Like Paul said, totally agree. It is interesting. It has legs, and so that's why I gave it a 7. I think because I knocked it a few points for, like you guys said, it's very cliche, it's very predictable, and it is kind of overdone. That romance, kind of on a trip. Total stranger guy who actually ends up becoming or being really important later on. That's very much a movie kind of trope. But I do think it is interesting, even though it is a little cliche, a little overdone. So I think like a 7 is pretty good for me. Somewhere there-ish. But yeah. What about character, Luke?
Character. All right. So character, I also gave this section a 3. So I think what kind of drug my score down with this one, this is more of a cinematic element, but it was the acting, and I could not take it. Like it was very bland. Like I know both those actors have potential, but it just felt like they both mailed it in. Actually, what I heard is the only reason Angelina Jolie did this is because she had like a couple weeks in between like scheduling to stop and shoot this movie because it was a very quick shoot.
Feels like it.
Yeah, because after I watched this movie, like I said earlier, I watched a bunch of videos on it, like trying to see, like I was like, maybe there's something I'm missing, maybe this, maybe that, and so I try and researched it as much as I can. I found that out, and like you said earlier, this was in between Pirates 3 and 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Johnny Depp was obviously in between things.
Well, he was on a time crunch because I forget exactly the dates or whatever, but like shooting for Pirates 4 was starting like at the very end of this movie, and so they had to kind of wrap it real quick.
Yeah. And they weren't even the original actors they wanted for this, too.
Right.
But I said the characters were extremely bland. They have no development, either of them, I'd say. And they're both characters we know like nothing. The only thing we know about Johnny Depp's character is that he's a math teacher from Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the only two about her is she's some kind of spy related something that falls in love with guys after like 2 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. And so I didn't, for those reasons I said that the characters weren't interesting. They're bland. And Johnny Depp, he's such a charismatic guy is what's hard.
Yeah.
Like he has so much charisma, but he just didn't put that into the character. And that's why I said it feels like they mailed that in. And then Angelina Jolie, she was kind of one tone the whole way. Like even speaking wise, like her voice was like, there's no like up and down in the octaves.
Yeah.
I said the bad guys weren't great. If anything felt like a bad guy, it was like the American police. Because the bad guy they set up is the mobster. Like, he's just a bad guy. Like just he's a mobster, so he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so they lost any kind of like tension that I felt in between characters because of that. I think it would have helped too. I don't know how it would have worked in, but having a side story where they switch to like Alexander Pierce, like we actually get to see him. So maybe they show Johnny Depp's character Frank with Angelina Jolie. they show them and he's acting, but then it shows him like sneaking away and being Alexander Pierce, and like having to maybe that would have made it more interesting.
Or like sending the texts or something or other.
Yeah, because they make this big deal about Alexander Pierce, and I mean later on you figure out, oh, it was him the whole time. But like I don't know, it's like it feels like there's a main character missing almost.
Yeah.
And so you lose a lot of that feeling towards it, because it feels like it's like where's Alex at? Apparently these people aren't anything. So like where's the guy this is supposed to be about?
Right.
So yeah, I that's why I gave that section a 3. One thing I will say I like about this movie is that it actually made me sit here and think about through all this stuff. Like, I don't know, I have so many notes on this movie, which I appreciate because it's one I can sit here and actually write down notes and think through parts of the movie. So I appreciate in that aspect, but I hate that it's all not great things that I've written down.
Yeah.
All right. So Paul.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Very one-note characters. I honestly just wrote everybody was very boring. Like there was nothing really exciting. Like like Luke said, Angelina Jolie's dialogue was even just flat. There were a few funny lines that sort of hit a little bit between them. I thought the whole e-cigarette thing was funny a little bit. I don't know, weird little things. I mean, to be honest, my favorite character was Timothy Dalton, was the boss guy. Because, well, first of all, he was James Bond, so that gave him points right there. But at the same time, like he was actually like the one who kind of had his crap together. Because I mean, even Paul Bettany was like starting to lose his mind because he's trying to find Alexander Pierce and and then you're just like, oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. Somebody needs to keep it together.
He was puzzling that letter together really quickly, though.
Dude, okay, that was kind of impressive. And I think that was part of it, too, for me. I was like, there were so many things that I can't explain. Of like, the tech was really high, but they were just being so stupid. Like at the very beginning of the movie, like where they're following her in the car, and they're like 5 feet behind her. And that's not really a character thing, but like, so there are just things that like I just didn't understand, I guess, that frustrated me.
Yeah. What'd you give it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave it a 6. I gave it a few extra points, just because I did think they were had interesting moments. I enjoyed some of the side characters more than the main actors. Like, I did enjoy Paul Bettany's character a bit more. Like I said, I enjoyed his boss. The bad guy wasn't that interesting. He felt like a Bond villain. Very bland, one-note kind of thing. But, just the lack of love from an audience member of the two main characters just really drags it down.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I gave it a 6 as well. Kind of went back and forth between a lower number. I totally agree with what Luke said and with what you said. I think the side characters are honestly really, really effective in this movie. But yeah, I feel like Angelina Jolie doesn't do much. I feel like she acts like herself, like what she would be like in real life. Like I feel like she plays herself.
Like her and Brad Pitt hanging out.
That's what kind of what I imagine Angelina Jolie being like in real life.
Yeah.
With that crappy British accent.
Yeah, I was like, I felt like she wasn't really acting very much. I felt like she was just kind of there.
That's a fair point.
But Johnny Depp was interesting because he is dopey and he is boring and he is just a math teacher. But at the same time, there's a little bit of that kind of, whenever you know the ending, there's a little bit different viewing of the movie, obviously, going back and watching it again. And you can kind of see the questions that he asks her and different things that he's doing that kind of pulls her in the direction he wants her to go. So to me, that's the most interesting part about the movie, is him basically convincing her to fall in love with him again as a totally different person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is the most interesting point of the movie. And he's the only character that I really think is that interesting. But he is boring. Like on the front end, like face value, he is boring.
Do you
But
think that's because Johnny Depp's acting?
No, I think it's on purpose. I think he's supposed to be boring. He's supposed to be a school teacher from Wisconsin on vacation by himself, because Angelina Jolie's character is so exotic and so used to all this glamour and wealth and kind of ridiculous lifestyle that Alexander Pierce wanted to kind of find out if she would actually fall in love with him as a boring, normal person rather than this really cool, wealthy guy, Okay. And so I think that to me is interesting, knowing that on the other end of the movie. Obviously, like if you didn't know that going into the movie, then that kind of doesn't really work for you.
Well, she kicks him to the curb at one point. She's like,
well, and that was the other thing. That was the other thing I was going to say is that scene is kind of a really important scene in the movie whenever she unties the boat and then leaves. And then he's just kind of standing there on the dock by himself. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the first time you actually like really empathize with him, I think. But anyway, I gave it a 6. I don't think it's a great section. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is an amazing section and an amazing part of the movie. But for me, Johnny Depp does. It's not his acting necessarily. And I think he was supposed to kind of have that understated kind of performance.
But his delivery.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was also funny because he actually is American, and most people don't know that because he plays British roles like so often.
All the time.
And so it's really funny that he actually like uses his normal American voice in the movie. People are like, oh, it sounds so weird to hear Johnny Depp talk like that. And I'm like, that's how he normally talks.
Right.
But he just looks like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah. And then there's a little bit of Jack Sparrow in there. You can see in certain scenes, like his face. It's really funny. He like makes like weird, faces, whatever. But anyway, I gave it a 6. I feel like that's a really good number for me.
Okay.
It's not too high. It's not too low, but I feel like there are some redeeming qualities, but not that many.
Okay. One more character I want to talk about is the freaking Italian concierge who couldn't understand Johnny Depp talking on the phone.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
He's sitting there speaking perfect English, and it's not even that loud and on Johnny Depp's side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just like stupid Americans or whatever. I'm like, no, like
I'm being shot at. Like, oh, I don't believe you, kind of thing. You're like, what?
Yeah. I was like, he's got to be in on it or something. Like he's got to be hired by the Russian guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Plot. So we have this ends my streak of 3s right here. I gave plot a 3.
Ouch.
Yep. I said many similarities for like in the way of cliche stuff. So just a lot of like, oh my gosh, it was him all the time at the whole time. It almost feels like and he woke up and it was all a dream. It feels like kind of one of those plots to me. I specifically mentioned the concierge at this point.
Yeah.
I said concierge, which was confusing.
Yeah.
And then, so there was a lot of stuff in here. So last week with Darkest Hour, how I said Darkest Hour did a really good job of show, don't tell. This movie did too much show.
The opposite, yeah.
They showed like there was this like the scene where Johnny Depp's running across the roof.
Yeah.
There's a scene where it cuts back and it shows the two bad guys climbing up like that little like edge
jump
of the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it shows them keep doing stuff that you don't even need to see. It's like come on, really?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, like extra context that they try to add that didn't need to be there at all.
Right.
So I think that slowed up the movie as well. Also, the pacing of this movie, I think, is just extremely flat.
Yeah.
I didn't feel, and this we'll get this in the next session, but I didn't feel any urgency, anything.
Yeah.
Let's see. One thing I wrote down, I was writing my notes down during the movie because I had so many thoughts. I said, why is Frank so attached? And obviously we find out that later because I'm like, they've only known each other for like less than 48 hours.
Right.
But then, like you said, if you go back, then everything he did kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I said there was no character setups. So like I didn't feel anything towards the characters because I didn't know anything about them. They were just, here's Frank / Alexander Pierce.
Frank's the only one who has any empathy like whatsoever. But he, like you said, there's very little setup like for his character. He just like, oh, here's this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and all we know about the police is like, oh, he stole this money, so we're trying to get him. Like, there's no like there's like because Paul Bettany's character, you feel like there's some kind of personal stuff between him and Alexander Pierce,
Right.
but you're like, but all they tell you is like he stole his money, and so he's got to try and get him. I said the plot twist was obvious. It was pretty obvious that once she set foot on the train, because it's like at this point in the movie, like you can't just introduce this random Alexander Pierce guy to show up at the end or during the middle and expect us to care about him. So it has to be Johnny Depp. So I think, I mean, seeing that come from a mile away.
Was this your first time seeing the movie, or have you seen it before?
This is my first time watching the movie.
Okay.
First time.
Did you ever doubt that it was Johnny Depp?
Ever what?
Did you ever doubt that it was him?
No.
Toward the end of the movie?
No, I never did. Because then it would be like, then what's the point of Frank?
Yeah.
And then, you know, why haven't we seen Alexander Pierce yet, or why this? And it's just like you just kind of put two and two together, and it's
Frank. For sure. I actually think this movie, the first time I watched it, it was good. I didn't really mind it, but I didn't think anything of it. But then the more times that I've watched it, I think I like it more because of like those little things that he does throughout the movie to kind of steer her the direction. But yeah, no, I totally see that point. Paul, what'd you give it?
So I gave the section a 5. My note I wrote down was and this doesn't quite make sense because this movie confused me so much that I couldn't really even put thoughts together. And because it's not believable for 2010 is what I said. And I know that sounds crazy because we've got movies like Avengers that are like completely not real at all, but they're more believable.
Right.
And I, again, can't really, and then my other was, it feels like it's a story from the 1950s that doesn't work. And I mean, because like it feels like it's an old James Bond movie. Like if you watch the first couple of James Bond movies, like if somebody remade those shot for shot today, it would not work.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different feel. We're so used to having things a different, complete way that it just doesn't work. As far as the Alexander Pierce thing, I agree. I did see it coming, the whole twist thing, but not near as early as Luke, because I saw, because the first other character you see that's a bigger named actor is Rufus Sewell, who, and so that was, for me, that's who I thought was Alexander Pierce pretty much until near the end. So, but I do definitely agree, as the movie went on, it did seem very much more predictable. And so a high level of predictability for me just kind of turns me off to a movie as well. Because I agree with AJ's point much earlier, was that I do like more movies that make you think and more intellectual type things like that. And so, because I pride myself of trying to figure out a movie as early on as possible, and this one was just, it felt too easy.
Like Inception.
Like Inception.
So
but,
good.
So yeah, that's really all I've got for this. So 5.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you guys. I think the Frank as Alexander Pierce to me was relatively easy to put together. For me, the bigger surprise was Angelina Jolie being an agent. Like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
You didn't know that from from the. I'm not trying to like. Because what did you like at the beginning of the movie? What did you think she was?
I just thought she was being tailed, and she knew it. And she'd been tailed for so long that she just knew their routine, and they knew her routine. Like I just figured that was what was happening.
Okay, I guess she gave off like a spy vibe to me, like at the
she did too. For me, I just thought she'd been like on the run for so long that she was, but they couldn't get her for anything because she wasn't actually guilty of anything.
Yeah,
but they were just surveilling her, and she knew that, and so I just assumed that she was just good at that sort of thing because of all the time she'd been doing that. I mean, at that point, it'd been a year or two, I think, or whatever.
Well, I can't believe she left that letter on the plate. Like you think, like her being an agent, like because if she like completely burns the letter and like throws it away over it, none of the rest of the movie happens.
No, and that's one of my biggest complaints with this movie is like just literally just sit there for 30 more seconds until the thing is completely gone, and then it's like, this is over.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's just not
It's
really defending it, but
it's just a
well, it does help at that point too that she was an agent because she left it behind for them. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, and so that's the other thing that I was going to say. So, okay, so I like the plot of this movie. I totally agree with you guys that it is predictable, and like it is definitely like kind of very, very much a traditional cliche kind of plot. For me, I did really enjoy the ending, even though it was predictable. I enjoy the climactic scene in the room with the snipers. I like that scene a lot. I think from the point where she is an agent, from that point on, the rest of the movie is actually it's pretty good plot wise. I feel like there's a good amount of kind of momentum built after that scene. Again, like I said, the bigger twist for me, and rather than Johnny Depp's character, was Angelina Jolie's character being revealed that she was an agent and had been an agent for a while, and actually went undercover to Russia or wherever for a year, and then went dark. Like I thought that was really cool that she like decided to give him up after all that. But anyway, I gave it a 7. I think, like I said, it's not on anywhere close to the level of a movie that has a really, really good plot. But I did think it had enough little nuggets here and there to kind of push it up a little higher than you guys had it. But I agree with Luke's point earlier about the conflict, tension, urgency, which we'll talk about here in a second. But for me, I think that section will be the lowest section for my scores, at least. But yeah, I think so. I tried to give it some points in plot rather than points in conflict, tension, urgency, and then kind of grade those separately, if that makes sense.
Okay. So conflict, tension, urgency then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I lied. I also gave this section a 3. I said, so this movie is like, so there's a lot of moments where it seemed like they're trying to tell you like, hey, this is an urgent moment. This is a tense moment, or this is a moment of conflict. But I never felt that through, I guess, the acting, the way the pacing. I never felt that. It's like there would be something that needed to require urgency, but it never felt urgent.
Right.
And I mean, same thing with tension. It's like you should feel tension in this moment, like whenever they're at the end and she's like on her knees or whatever, and he has like the knife out. Like you should feel tension,
right? Conflict.
Yeah. I don't feel anything. I think this all kind of comes back to the setup of the characters. Like I'm not attached to Angelina Jolie because I still don't know her that well. I don't know the bad guy that well. I don't know their history, like other than he's just a bad guy and somewhat tied to this because Alexander Pierce stole his money. It's like I don't know. I feel like there's all these moments that contributed to these moments not panning out, and that's what affected it. The pacing, the acting, the characters, how much we knew about the characters, all that. So the 3 for me, I gave 1 point for all 3 sections of that. So
nice. For me, I gave this section a 6 actually. I went up a little bit because I do feel like there was I agree, tension and urgency were non-existent. Tension and urgency were very non-existent. Like I love Luke's point of it of saying, yeah, they tried to do it, but you never truly felt it. As far as conflict goes, I feel like there was a bit more there as far as obvious conflict of actual characters having true sense of the word conflict of fighting each other. So that was like a point there a little bit for me. And then a lot of it for me was actually Angelina Jolie's character's conflict of, well, I love Alexander, but I'm now falling in love with Frank. And so her conflict to then even to just save Frank, because I mean she could have just easily just let him die.
Yeah.
And in her, sense of in the story, going on to meet Alexander, even though he would have been dead for truth, whatever. But she's conflicted there and all that. So that's where I feel like it added a few more points to it. And then I don't know if I would really give any points to Johnny Depp for internal conflict, because he's just playing a game at this point. Because I do agree with AJ saying when watching it the second time, you do notice those little nuances of like, oh, hey, were those flowers here when we checked in? They were very obvious and
he
things
leads
like
her
that.
in the direction
he leads her. But not much conflict there. So I gave it a few more points for her, like her internal conflict of being in love. And then, I mean, even like with her job of being, well, I'm a spy, but I'm not going to be a spy for love kind of thing. And those, very cheesy love plot twist things. But so 6.
Yeah, I agree. I gave the section a 4. I wanted to give it a 3 like Luke, but I bumped it to a 4 because of what Paul said. I agree. I think Angelina Jolie's character has by far the most conflict, internal conflict, obviously. And they do a poor job of portraying that, but it's there. They'll feel it. The tension for me is, like you said, they try to force it, and it's just not a tense movie. Like, no matter how hard you try, you can't, it's just not going to work. And then urgency, like you're in Venice, like nothing is urgent. Like everything is just very, she walks slowly and everything is smooth and beautiful.
Even when he's running across the roof, you're just like, he's fine.
Yeah, literally, it's like, oh yeah, he's just this like the roof tiles are beautiful. The officer's not even doesn't even carry a gun. Like there's no
Yeah.
So for me, like some of the strengths of this movie are like we talked about at the very, very beginning, like it being in Venice and it being really beautiful and it being very elegant, but it also cripples like this section in particular because it just kills that tension and urgency. So I gave it a 4. I feel like Paul said, the Angelina Jolie conflict is really strong internally, even though they don't show it super well. I feel like I really don't like romantic movies at all. Like at all. But for whatever reason, this story, this romantic kind of game, I guess is what Paul called it. I kind of like that. I guess that's why I like it, is because she loves Alexander Pierce. Obviously, she's willing to go on this whole, wild goose chase for him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he is trying to convince her to fall in love with him as a person rather than with him, with his money and with his kind of cool lifestyle as a fugitive and all that kind of stuff. And so to me, that's interesting. But it's still not. I mean, this section's still really weak. So anyway, give it a 4.
All
right. I'm interested to hear this one from Luke.
Last one, Luke. Let me go.
This is where I have my most notes.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
I lied again. This section's also a 3.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know. I said the cinematography, man, like, like at some points it was very standard, but some points you're just like, why? Like they had a lot of wide shots in this. It just did not work. Yeah. So there was like the scene I mentioned before in the Show Don't Tell, where the bad guys are climbing up to the next section of roof. That's a wide angle of just 2 guys trying to scramble up. Like it didn't look good at all. And so like bad angles, they did a couple low angles that didn't work great. And then this kind of leads me into some more stuff about this is there was some jump cuts, which is a big no-no in film. So the scene where he's dreaming, he goes in there and he like kisses her on the neck or something, pulls her around and gives her a kiss. Where he's dreaming on the couch. There's a jump cut there, right when he's like about to kiss her. There was a jump cut, and honestly, it scared me because I was like, "Whoa, no way!" Like I've never seen one of these. I've never seen this before, a movie. And there's another one where she's driving the boat to come save him. It's dark, and then like there's a shot, and she's driving the boat, and it cuts back to him and cuts back to her, and she's like on the other side of the boat, looking like the same exact way, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And then there was 2 shots one or two at the end, whenever he has the knife out, and it's a shot of the knife, and then her face is in the background. So the knife is in the foreground, her face is in the background, and you're like, okay, so the knife would be in focus, and then they'd rack focus to her face, or one of the things would be in focus. Neither of them were in focus.
Yeah, that's a terrible shot.
And there's two shots like that in the final
Yeah.
scene. Two shots like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, come on. And then at the end, they did the whole extremely long, unneeded slow-mo sequence of him walking towards the crest of Janus.
Yeah.
And so they do like him slow-mo, and like you're like, okay, what the heck's going on? Then they'd cut to regular time, the cops in the boat, and they'd cut back to him slow-mo, and then they cut back to the cops and come back to him. I was like, oh, like the only slow-mo that needed to be there was maybe like everybody getting shot, which was like the one cool part I liked.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of neat.
Well, it's just not a slow-mo movie. Like, you got to understand, like, it's not that kind of movie. I agree that the slow-mo sniper, like, all at once.
Yeah, that was neat.
That was really cool. But other than that, I totally agree.
The slow-mo didn't work other than that. I thought the soundtrack didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It seemed very, like, whimsical, but I wasn't getting the whimsical vibe from the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what they were going for. I knew what the movie was supposed to be, but I think through, like, plot and acting, I didn't get it. So another thing I've written down is bad green screen and bad lighting. So there was a lot of bad green screen. On the train, it was bad. When he was running on the tiles, that looked like wholeheartedly green screen, because you could kind of see a white outline around him.
Yeah. And
so that's usually whenever you're, and at least in Premiere Pro, whenever I'm editing green screen footage, there's a setting called clip white. And so you're clipping the white edges around someone. And it looks like they didn't do that, but they added a feather to it to make it look soft. And there was a lot of that around some of the green screen footage. And then the lighting didn't match. So they have really cinematic lighting on the actors, but then nowhere else. And so none of the lighting really matched.
Oh, yeah.
The other really bad one was at the end of the movie. I felt like whenever they're like sailing off into the distance.
Yes, that was also not good.
That green screen's bad too.
That was not good.
Which is crazy because they were in Venice. Like, you have the most beautiful city in the world. Just shoot at the end. I was like, why are you using a green screen? Like, you were just in Venice for like however many weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last point I'm gonna make is, like, which is surprising. So after looking up the director's stuff, I'm gonna take points. I took points off for directing too, because I don't think I don't know what it was, but they just did not seem like two actors that meshed well. Their chemistry wasn't great, and I think the director probably could have done a better job of getting more out of them. So I took points off for that. But yeah, I gave a 3 for cinematic elements.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I agree with almost every point Luke said, and so I'm gonna actually even bump my score down a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 4. I had it at a 5, but I'm gonna bump it down 1. Give it a 4. The green screen was horrible. I'm not going to get into that. That was one of the notes that I put. That was very, very rough. Dialogue was... Oof.
Awkward.
No chemistry with the actors, again. I do feel like... And to hear that they were the second choice, I didn't know that. This is why I dropped it a point. It nullifies my note. I was like, oh, good casting, because I mean they're good actors. They just weren't used properly. So I mean, I don't know.
He was actually the third choice. Johnny Depp was.
Oh my gosh! You want me to drop it another point? No, I'm just kidding.
He was the third choice, and Angelina Jolie was the second choice.
Wow. Okay.
Originally, it was supposed to be Charlize Theron and Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Can you imagine Tom Cruise playing that role? Like,
I don't know. It probably would have been better.
No, he can't play a role like that. Are you kidding me?
Charlize Theron.
I mean, Johnny Depp didn't do a great job either. But come on.
But yeah, I mean,
plays a role like that. You can't play a school teacher.
I didn't really notice the soundtrack, I guess. The one thing that I feel like Luke, this is why I like what Luke does for living in these on the show, because he can notice these cinematography things. I liked some of the wide shots. Now the ones that were kind of a dunce move with the guys trying to climb up the little wall, yeah, that was dumb. But like some of the actual like wider shots of Venice, yes, I think are cool and look okay. Because I mean, you got to add something cool into the movie, so you might as well get some wide shots of Venice while we're here, kind of deal. So yeah.
There just wasn't a whole lot of shot variation or diversity.
No, I'll agree with that. Like, yeah, I understand. And yeah, I didn't notice the whole, like, the white outline of the green screen thing, but yeah, that
seems so bad. So that whole scene's terrible. No, okay, so I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I gave it a 5. Honestly, most of it is because Venice is beautiful, and the movie itself is beautiful. Like, the way they kind of portray that. But then obviously, like I said, there's times when, like, goodness, like, you literally just had this gorgeous shot of like this like waterfront, and then now you have this green screen. I'm like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
The music didn't bother me. It wasn't great. I agree with you, Luke, that it kind of went like it didn't go with the movie. Like, it tried to go, but the vibe was just wrong. Like, I totally agree with that. The acting for me, we talked about this briefly earlier. Johnny Depp, it's hard to judge his acting on this movie because he is a great actor, obviously. But he always plays bizarre, weird roles, and he never really plays like a normal character.
Yeah.
That's hard, first of all. Second of all, it's also hard because his character's written in such a boring way that you don't really know if it's his fault or not.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, like I said earlier, like, his character is interesting because he's the one, like, kind of playing the game, moving all the pieces.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And he kind of does that well, where he's kind of devious a little bit, but he's also still kind of boring. And then Angelina Jolie's still interesting, like, the way she portrays the character, because she is so, like, elegant and glamorous in the way that she talks and the way that she moves. But you're right. It's so one note. It's so, like I didn't feel like she was acting, like, very much. I feel like she was just playing herself, basically, like, kind of fancy, whatever way. So I feel like a 5 is pretty good for me. Obviously, some egregious mistakes. Like you said, those like instant cuts are just, like, shocking. In this movie, because it's not like that. Like, this movie should be smooth and elegant and, like, a lot of like slow cut, and it's like, what in the world are you doing? But yeah, so I gave it a 5. I feel like that's pretty good for me. So Luke, you gave it a what was that, 15?
15.
Gosh, bro, that's terrible.
My lowest rated movie.
Yeah, that's awful by a lot.
Yeah.
By a lot. Yeah.
Paul, what'd you give it total score?
25.
Wow, nice. I'm at 29. So so I said this at the very beginning, like, I like this movie. It's very much like I said, it's such a, like, turn your brain off movie.
Yeah.
And just watch it. I really, like I said, I like very few movies like this. So it is interesting to me that I do like this movie.
Well, it's your guilty pleasure movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's definitely a movie that it's so out of my normal genre.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even know what genre it is. That's one of my meta questions. Which
thriller, romance.
I
looked it up earlier.
On IMDb, it has it listed as a comedy. And I was like, what? But then I read a little bit about it, and the directors were, like, going for, like, a little bit of a comedy, like a romantic comedy. And I was like, this is not funny, like, at all. Like, I laughed at the whole movie. Maybe twice. But yeah, so anyway, 29 out of 50. Not great, obviously. It's one of my lower scores, I think, ever, actually. I think the only movie lower than that might be
American Gangster?
American Gangster, maybe. And
Heat?
Boondock Saints. I think Heat was like a 30 or 31.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Long ago.
That was so long ago. Oh, my gosh. Couple of meta questions.
Okay.
First of all, what's the genre? Thriller. It's not really a thriller, though, because there's very little.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and it says action, romance, thriller. I see the romance. I can see the action, but I don't feel the thriller because there was nothing through.
It's not very action either. Like, the most action scene is the very end.
In the boat scene.
Snipers, and that's, like, kind of it. In the boat scene, yeah.
Yeah. I classify it as, a romantic with action peppered in.
Yeah, it's a romance movie with just a little bit of espionage.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
What tier would you rank this movie in?
I'm sorry, this is my bottom tier.
Very bottom?
0 tier.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I watched this movie for the first time, I don't know however long ago. I think it was probably with my parents or something or other, and my dad picked it, so I watched it, whatever. And I thought I would never, ever watch this movie again. And you said it for the podcast a long time ago, and I was like, okay, maybe it'll, I'll watch it again for the podcast. And I was like, maybe I'll like it some more. Yeah, this will be the last time I ever watch this movie.
Nice. I would say it's definitely my like third tier. So I guess historically on the show we've had 4 tiers.
Yeah.
I would say this is in the third one for me. Like I own The Tourist. I own some movies that are like meh. May or may not watch them more than one time in my lifetime. I've seen this movie probably 3 times, maybe 4 tops. But yeah, like I'll watch this movie very sporadically. Like it may or may not come up again in the next 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of movie for me. But it's not quite as bad as you guys have it. My other 2 questions are: how does this compare to other Depp movies and other Jolie movies? Which obviously for me, Pirates of the Caribbean is like far superior to this movie.
That's peak Johnny Depp.
Yeah, for sure.
This is
best role.
This is my worst. This is probably for both actors. It's probably their worst movie for me.
I agree.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen very many Angelina Jolie movies, so I didn't really know. I know that was one of the top 5 we talked about doing, but
I mean, I've seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith and like Tomb Raider.
I've seen the original Tomb Raider, I think, once maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite movie of hers is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got for meta questions. I didn't have very many.
Paul, do you have any?
Only one I got is, what was your score for Boondock Saints? I want to compare.
24?
Mine was a 35.
I think mine was a 27.
Okay, all right.
Let me see here. 24, yeah.
All right. Well,
24 and then a 29 for Tourist. That's not that bad at all. Yeah. That's not a big jump. What did you give? What was it called? The experiment one, Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh, Stanford Prison. Hold on, let me. I think I gave that movie a 31 actually, or something like that.
I think you gave it a higher score than Tourist.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure I did. Let's see. Where is that?
I can't believe you get a 15, Luke. Come on, bro.
Man,
I know you don't like it, but that's like
I didn't want to give it a 15, but I had to.
It's horrific.
Yeah, I gave Stanford a 31.
I don't know if I've ever given a movie a 3 on any category before. You gave.
I haven't.
Good night.
I gave Stanford Prison Experiment a 11, 17, 26, 33.
Wow.
Yeah, I gave it a 31.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I have really enjoyed doing our guilty pleasure movies though, like Boondock Saints for you, Paul, and now The Tourist. So I'll have to find what mine is, and then we'll do mine so you guys can tear mine apart.
There we go. Back to the Future movie.
Oh man. Oh dude, I will poop so hard. That movie sucked. I almost included Back to the Future 2 on my bottom list.
2
the second one is so bad. Like all those are bad, but the second one's terrible.
Yeah, I know, but I really like doing this it's kind of like a themed episode series, I'd say. It didn't turn out that way, but it wasn't supposed to be that way, but it's kind of turned out that way. So
yeah,
I think I'm gonna.
We don't do movies like that very often. Like most movies that we pick are off of our top 25 list, or are off some recent movie we've all seen, or just a good movie that we've all just kind of wanted to watch or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't do movies like that very often. Like we choose like historically, we've chosen like 46 episodes. We've probably chosen 35 or 40 like pretty good movies, you know.
So I'll get mine, and then I'll maybe like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or something.
Ooh.
We can do, but I'll let you guys know when I find mine.
Single-digit score for your movie. Single digit, guaranteed.
Give it a 5.
Yeah.
One in each section.
Give it a 0 in each section.
Right. I'll do the second one just to make sure we can achieve those scores.
That's all I got, guys.
All our thoughts for the Tourist?
That's it.
Next week is what?
Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven, yep.
Chris
the
Pratt,
newest one. Yep.
Denzel.
Yep. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Ethan Hawke.
Oh, yeah.
All-star cast.
Yeah, that'll be good. I like that movie a lot.
It's a good one.
That's
I've
a
only
good
seen
one.
it once, though, I think.
Oh, well, we'll see you guys next week for episode 47 when we review Magnificent Seven. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys next time.